What's going on, guys? It's Tommy from the 1313 podcast bringing you another Black Series review. And today I'm bringing you a very special review. This is the First Order 4-pack, the Galaxy's Edge exclusive from Disney Parks. And as you can see here, right on the front of the box, you've got all four of the characters that are in the package here. You've got the First Order AT-AT driver, General Hux, the Mouse Droid, and the R5 Astromech. This was actually gifted to me by Jacob and Jackson, the other two hosts of the podcast. So thank you guys for getting this for me. I really, really appreciate it. I've had my eye on this for a while, but never ended up pulling the trigger. So again, thank you guys for getting this pack for me. But all that aside, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the packaging. So as you can see, like I said, we have a nice portrait of all the characters that are in the pack on the front here with the little First Order cog, I guess I'll call it here. And then if we take a look at the back of the packaging here, you can see on the back you have the same four images that are on the front of the box, as well as a bio for each individual character in about 1,000 different languages. And then we'll look at the inside of the box here. So I'll go ahead and open this puppy up. It has two little pieces of Velcro there that you actually open up. You can see those pieces of Velcro right here on the corners. And so you have all four of the characters in the what is reminiscent of the red and black box line of the Black Series. And so you have the four characters here. You have the First Order AT-AT driver, the R5 Astromech, the Mouse Droid, and General Hux. And then on the other side of the packaging as well, you have a nice little bio for the First Order as a faction in 1,000 languages again. And then you have the same four portraits of all four characters. But without further ado, let's take a look at these figures, shall we? Alrighty, guys, and here we have all four figures out of box and looking pristine, might I add. I think as a group, these figures look really well together. They look really uniform. And so let's get into them one by one, and we'll start with the most boring of the four, in my opinion. Alrighty, guys, so first we've got the Mouse Droid. Most recently, if anyone got their hands on the Walmart exclusive Vice Admiral Rampart figure, he would have come with this exact same Mouse Droid. I'm almost positive that the paint apps are exactly the same and that everything is exactly the same about this figure right here. You can see he has the little articulating wheels on the bottom, so you can roll him around like a little Hot Wheels car. Yeah, I mean, other than that, it's got some nice detail. I really like the little panels on the sides, how they're not all even. I think it's a good world building piece, honestly. And if you're having like a little Imperial display or a First Order display or even a Republic display, these little Mouse Droids are fun to throw in there just to kind of fill some empty space, bring some extra life to your diorama or your photo or whatever you're doing. Now let's take a look at the Astromech droid here, which actually for my collection, this is the first Astromech droid I've ever gotten. And I'm honestly really impressed with it. This gimmick where you twist the head and it brings the center wheel up and it brings it back down really reminds me of the old 3 3/4 figures. I really, really like this feature, and I think it's really clever that Hasbro did it this way because it keeps the legs steady in there. You've got some nice articulation on the feet of each leg as well, so you can kind of pose him around if he's on uneven ground or things like that. And obviously the arms extend. I'm not sure why you'd be posing your Astromech droid this way, but to each their own. And then the one thing that I really liked about this figure, and again, this is just because I've never had an Astromech droid in my collection, is that you have these little hidden compartments on the front of the droid where you just pull this little tab and you can actually take the tool that's inside and pull it up. So you have these little arms here. And so I'm really a fan of these. I think that it makes the figure have a lot more value than just being a box. And this one, you can actually even angle it down a little bit. This one kind of falls down, but this one you can even angle down. It just makes the figure have a lot more life to it, in my opinion. So I really like that feature there. And it's so seamless. Like you barely even notice it when you're looking at the figure. And then I also noticed it has these little wheels on the bottom, so you can roll him around too. I think that that's a really good feature as well. But yeah, aside from that, I think that the red and black color scheme for this guy is really good. It's a good contrast to the black and gold that you see a lot on the Imperial figures. And yeah, I think this figure just looks really good with any kind of First Order display or even any Imperial display. I think if you put him with like some Purge Troopers or something like that, I think he'd look really good. And now we have General Hux, or as Poe Dameron calls him in The Last Jedi, General Hugs. And compared to his original figure release, which was early on in the line, about 2015, this new photoreal technology on his face looks awesome. He looks very masculine. It does look quite a bit like the actor, and considerably better than the original release, might I add. The photoreal has done a great job for the Black Series line. Other than that, though, he is just a re-release of the figure from 2015. He's got those single jointed elbows that go to about 90 degrees, and then he's got those old double jointed legs. I really like the aesthetic of this figure. I like the boots. I like the trench coat. It's very Nazi-esque, which is good because Hux is literally Space Hitler in The Force Awakens. I really like that this hand here, his left hand, is actually kind of an extended hand, almost like he's pointing or talking. It makes it so that you can emote with him a lot more than if it was just a closed fist or just another hand that could hold a blaster. He does come with, this blaster is called the SC-44C, I believe. This blaster is just straight mold. There's no paint on it, but when it's a blaster pistol, that's really not a big deal for me. Now, the biggest thing is, as many of you know, if you've watched these reviews before, you know that I like to try to get figures into a one-legged running pose. And so with Hux, I don't really see him doing a pose like this. If he were to do a pose like this, I would think that it would be kind of to run away from something rather than to run towards something, because he's a little bit more of a cowardly character. But let's see if I can get him into that running pose. This is an older body. It's an older figure as well. So I don't know if I'll be able to achieve this. So we'll kind of find out together here. But yeah, aside from that, I think that the aesthetic of this figure is really, really nice. I think that's a very, well-made figure in the sense that it has a good likeness to the actor. And, I think we almost got it there. And there it is. You can get him into that one-legged running pose. It looks a little ridiculous, to be honest. It's not the best, not the most natural. But the fact that you can do it, the fact that you can get him to balance his center of gravity is really good. And I think that this figure looks really good for what it is. Here he's in a little bit more of almost like a Han Solo pose rather than a Hux pose. But yeah, this figure's good enough for what it is. And let's take a look at the one I'm most interested in. So this figure is a new character for the Black Series line. This is the First Order AT-AT driver. And this was the figure that really drew my attention to this pack and made me want to get it in the first place. Now, this figure, this helmet is what's really wonky to me, and it's just so odd looking, and I think that's what draws me to it, is that except for the face, which is just a First Order Stormtrooper, you have the whole back of the helmet is just an Imperial AT-AT driver. It looks like they just cut out the front and put a First Order Stormtrooper helmet here. I would imagine you would see these guys on crate piloting the First Order AT-ATs as opposed to the other crew that was piloting the AT-M6s. So I don't think we saw these guys on screen at all, if only for a couple seconds. But I think that he looks really good. The body of the figure, aside from the new head sculpt, is really just a reuse of the First Order TIE pilots. I think that for what it is, the figure is nice. I think he has little baby hands, to be honest. He has very small hands, and I don't think they're very proportionate, but maybe this is a she, and there's some smaller hands there. You could always imagine that. But again, that's something I don't really care about if the hands are big or small or whatever. It's a side character, so I'm not too concerned about it. I think the detail up here on the little apparatus on the chest is very nice, as well as on the pants and everything like that. I mean, for this mold coming out in about 2015, I think it holds up very well to today's standards. He does have the double jointed knees, and the elbows don't bend much, but you take what you can get sometimes with these figures. These older ones, I should say. So let's see if we can't get this guy in that one-legged running pose too. I would imagine if this person was running, they'd be running to their station, to go get onto their vessel or their ship or whatever they're going to do. So let's see if I can't. This one seems a little bit easier just because the knee joints are a lot more rigid than General Hux had. So let's see. And there it is. That's actually a pretty good pose. If you get him on an angle, maybe he's looking, cheesing out the camera a little bit. Yeah, he's running. He's going to get to his post. So, yeah, I mean, this figure, I'm really happy with it. I think it'll look really good with my First Order display, with Hux commanding the troops at the front, put him with some stormtroopers. I think it'll look really, really good. All right, guys, and that is the Galaxy's Edge First Order 4-pack, the exclusive to Disney parks. This pack, if you see it and you like the First Order, you like the sequels, I absolutely think you should get it. It's got a nice little troop builder, a very well done photoreal interpretation of General Hux, and a couple world building characters too. You have an astromech and a mouse droid. I think that this is very good for if you want to do any First Order dioramas, or if you're just looking for some new unique figures to add to your collection. I think this is a very good pack to get. If you have not already, make sure you subscribe to the 1313 Podcast YouTube channel. At 500 subscribers, we will be giving away a Bad Batch Rex Black Series figure. So make sure you subscribe to get the details on that giveaway when we hit 500. Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at 1313_podcast. We're posting on there all the time. Our weekly podcast episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, everywhere else is at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can always come check us out, and we hope to see you soon. And with that being said, again, thank you, Jacob and Jackson, for gifting me this pack. I'm really happy to have it, and I'm happy to do a review for it. And yeah, this is Tommy from the 1313 Podcast signing off.